Week 9, we are live, and hopefully nobody watching the show has sprained an ankle or an MCL or torn anything, because we had quite the week of injuries this week. It seemed like just about anybody who was on, one of my season-long fantasy squads got injured. I mean, I've got a quick list here. This was not everybody, but some of the big hitters. Le'Veon Bell down for the season. Steve Smith Sr., Cameron Wake, Fitzpatrick's going to miss time. Forte, Reggie Bush, Joe Hayden, and Dante Whitner. I mean, one after another, it seemed like guys were going down. MCL sprains, MCL tears. I mean, it was just not a good day. Apparently, these guys, something was up with the turf, with the stretching. I don't know what it was, but yeah, they hurt me in one, or whether it was season or weekly, which kind of sucked, but did not hurt our boy who won the listener league. Chris, congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell me how to pronounce your name here. I want to say it's Liberator, but I'm guessing that's
No,
not the
no,
way
it's
you want to pronounce it.
it's LBIRAIDER. I live in Jersey near Long Beach Island. It's LBI. So
Okay, Long Beach
I'm a
Island.
Raider.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
There you
yeah,
go.
I'm a Raider fan. So
So how you a Raiders fan? Where'd that come about?
that's from Dad, from way back when. It's the whole family is that way. He just incorporated back when he was, the first watching Ken Stabler, and that's how it went. All of us are Raider fans. There's a couple Giant fans. It's either Raiders or Giant fans.
Interesting. That's cool though. I mean, that's how I'm from, and I'm a huge Packers fan. So a lot of people think I grew up in Wisconsin or somewhere close, somewhere Midwest, and that's not it at all. Same here. Inherited from my dad, who inherited his dad, who was a big Lombardi guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know how it is. That's a lot of fun. It's cool. It's kind of something to pass along in the family. It kind of feels like you're you're actually passing along something valuable when you pass along something like that. But ironically enough, it looks like your lineup contained no Raiders.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure they won people a lot of money this week with their performance against Alex's Jets. Carr was throwing left and right, it seemed. What do you have, 4 touchdowns this weekend, I think it was?
Yeah, pretty good. Did real well. I mean, that Tavon Jones one, I mean, he ran it down the sideline and made everyone miss. That was pretty cool. So, I mean, that I think that was a fluke play, but yeah, he had a good week.
Hey, fluke plays count just as much as anything else, right? Just the way you draw it up. Doesn't matter.
Sure.
As long as they're in the end. Let's see. You took your family's, your other side of the families, you took their stack with Eli Odell stack. So I'm going to run through his, for anybody not familiar with the show. We do have a listener league, and it's already set up. It's already in the description for, the YouTube, the show right now. If you click show more in the description, you guys can click on the link to join it. League 100-man tournament. Top 5 get paid out, so it's not like only one person wins. Get to share a little bit of the money. Chris won this week with a total score of 217. Pretty impressive. Very nice. And let's take a look at his lineup. So he went with an Eli Odell stack. So first question is, what made you choose them over all the other stacks out there, like Flacco and Steve Smith was a contrarian play this week. And Phillip Rivers and Keenan Allen was kind of chalk. So what made you go with Eli and ODB?
So you guys did the lineup show on Thursday, and and I think it was even Alex talking about, hey, everyone's going to be on Eli and Odell for the stack, and I'm like, well, it's 100 tournament, going 100 people in the tournament. Everyone's going to be on probably Rivers or something like that. So I said, I'm like, what the hell? I'll try something different. And the Saints are so bad, so I figured, a lot of passing, I'll go with the Eli and Odell, and it worked out. I mean, obviously 6 touchdowns. I was never going to think that was going to happen, but
yeah,
right?
Not only 6 touchdowns, you got 9 between the 2 of them. So that's the prime example of why you want a stack to hit, and that's the stack that hit.
Sure,
it's incredible. I mean, Eli got you 41 points. Odell got you 42. So they're alone. 2 players alone, you're halfway to cash, about a third of the way to like serious GPP value. So that's pretty impressive in itself. So actually, let me say first, Eli was 3% owned and Odell was 6% owned. So that shows you that only 6 people paid up for Odell in a 100-man tournament. So it's interesting to see, how those are your most contrarian picks, those two. Your other contrarian pick was a 9% McFadden, who I think he was 3,800 this week, ended up going for 17.3 points. Was it just kind of
he was the number one
cost at that?
Yeah, again, I think one of you guys, maybe it was either Pete last week too, talking about having number ones in your lineup, and I'm like, thinking, okay, if McFadden's going to start, it's going to be a mess with Randall, what was going on with him. So he was going to get most of the touches, and sure enough, he caught 6 passes. So it was, it worked out real well.
Yeah, it did. It worked out well enough to get Randall cut today. So
yeah, true.
interesting stuff we should see. Enough of Darren McFadden going forward, and as well as Christine Michael. I mean, who knows what's going on with him, but Darren McFadden definitely the guy there. And against that Seattle defense was really tough on him. He still pulled out 17 points for you. So pretty respectable there. I don't really need to ask you why you played him. 72% of the field played him. So Jonathan Stewart, 16% owned. He ended up getting you a catching touchdown, 82 yards. He did have a fumble though, which, in that rain, it's pretty expected. What was your thought behind Stewart? Was it just that the Colts D kind of, sucks against the run as well?
Yeah, I mean, again, I was thinking number one running back, going to get most of the touches. I mean, the rain definitely played into it. And I don't know if you saw. I mean, I stayed up and watched the game last night. I was watching the scoreboard, obviously, and the guy, I think he came in third in the thing. He had Gore, so we were going back and forth here, and then Stewart has the fumble, and I fall back down the rankings. So anyway, but yeah, I mean. And then it goes to overtime, and all that goes on. So, but I mean, I thought for sure Stewart, with a pretty good price on him, was going to get most of the carries. That's kind of where I was going with.
That's awesome, man. A nice little Monday night sweat going back and forth, and of course it brings you into overtime on top of it all, right? Just making you work that much harder for it. But
you start cheering for the end of the game. That's all I wanted.
Just end it. Just stop.
Just stop. Just don't throw it to Gore. Don't let him scamper into the end zone.
You're right though, man. At that price, I mean, he was what, I think 100 this week.
Sure.
And
he's not.
It was again the same thing as McFadden, right? You knew he was going to get the volume, knew he was a number one guy, and that's what we're at that price, and that's perfect. I mean, it obviously again worked out for you. 14.3 points, so not something that's going to put you over the edge, but has more than made up for it. Your next wide receiver was AJ Green. He went for 11 for 118 and a touchdown. So an absurd day in a day where Andy Dalton, in my eyes, went back to being the Andy Dalton we all thought he was at the beginning of the season, right? He kept looking AJ's way. That was it. They just stop him. But what made you go AJ over, say, I don't know who else was available at that price point off the top of my head, but let's like a Randall Cobb. I mean, Cobb went against the Broncos, but like Julio, Antonio Brown, Hopkins. Yeah, what made you go AJ over those guys? So,
I thought just based on, the matchup there, if you think about it, it was Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. It's going to be, I thought and kind of worked out that way, a throw-in match. That's kind of where I was thinking. So more volume going to the AJ. The Hopkins thing, I wasn't sure from the week before what was going on with Nate Washington. Although you probably took Nate, you probably would have got more points out of it. So went with AJ and I skipped on Hopkins.
I mean, it worked out for you. That's points from AJ. It was a ridiculous day. 11 catches is a ridiculous day.
Yeah.
And your last wide receiver was someone we liked last week, and that was Alshon Jeffrey, who all very similar line, went 10 for 116 to AJ's 11 for 118. So he got you 30 points to AJ one. Pretty impressive. Alshon 33% owned. So still, not majority owned from a percentages perspective in terms of how many people actually played in the tournament, but majority owned because not a lot of people are going to be, owned by 1 and 3 teams. But overall, incredible body. Now, your tight end was your weakest spot. That was Ladarius Green, 1 catch for 10 yards. Now, it came out, I think, after 1 o'clock start that Antonio Gates was going to play.
Yeah.
Was it news that you missed, or was it news that you just didn't care about when it came out?
So here is, I had the global lineup change set up to take him out and put Heath Miller in, right? And I went, okay, do I do this? Do I hit the button, right? And it was like, you know what? I'm going to stick with my gut, even though the week before, Ladarius, both of them were in. They both saw a lot of volume. And again, San Diego throws the ball a ton. So I'll leave him in. And sure enough, I leave Ladarius in. He gets hurt. He's out of the game. And I probably would have crushed a bunch of other lineups because I had him a lot. He was my most owned at all my lineups was Ladarius.
Oh. Yeah, it's something that, as I saw, for me personally, as soon as I saw that he wasn't going to be, or Antonio Gates was in there, I said, forget it. That's not even something I wanted hold of. It wasn't even that I wanted to pivot up to Gates. I just said, forget it. I ended up dropping down to Crockett Gilmore in a couple of my lineups. It was, I think, cheaper, but ended up catching that touchdown. I mean, he total got me like 8 points, right? So at the end of the day, he's not winning me much money either. But that's something I couldn't personally stomach Ladarius Green. If I went to Heath, oh my God,
right?
That's a tough pill to swallow. But at the end of the day, you still got it done. Ladarius got it done. Even without Ladarius, he could have been one of the ones that got injured, and you still would have pulled it off because you did win by 5. Ladarius only got you 2, so end of the day didn't even matter. But yeah, man, that's great. Congratulations again.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah,
coming on here, man. It's awesome to have you guys on. Really happy that you guys watch the show and you want to participate. So definitely make sure you get in the description though. Click on the link, get in the this week, and let's see how things work out. Now, I'm gonna put you really quickly a spot here.
Sure.
Let me pull up. So you guys have Pittsburgh this week. You're traveling to.
Yep.
I'll put you on the spot real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Big Ben, regardless of price, I'll give it to you on DraftKings though. Big Ben 6,600, Carr's 5,500. Regardless of who are you taking at QB this week? I
would take Carr and pair him with Cooper. It would. I mean, I would go there for sure. That would be, I think Crabtree probably would have a good day there. I would kind of think that, Cooper's going to be probably double teamed a lot, but I would say Carr Cooper just from the sheer volume.
Man, you guys finally, it seems, got a wide receiver right.
Yes.
It took you, I don't know how many times, but Hayward Bay, all the, a couple other guys that were just fast, right?
They were all track stars.
Yep. Yeah. Now you finally got a wide receiver. So for that, I congratulate you. I loved him in college. I'm not a Bama fan. I'm a Michigan fan, but I loved watching Mari Cooper in college because he caught everything. Great routes, great hands, and clearly transitioned to the NFL faster than anybody imagined. And that's awesome. I mean, you guys are now second in the division. You're holding one of the wild card spots at this point.
It's crazy. Right? I can't believe it. No one jinx it. But it's the Denver thing, though. I mean, it's the nemesis. It's Denver right now. Now we'll see what happens. Maybe there's a crack in the armor here with Peyton, but it's we got to get past Denver.
Yeah, I mean, Denver's defense is so. Again, I'm a Packers fan. I saw far too close. We just got manhandled by those guys on Sunday night. They're very, very good. Oh my goodness. They are just swarming, and their defensive line can get pressure on the quarterback like nothing. And at the same time, they can leave their DBs out in man. And it's like they're the only defense in the league at this point that can do that. That can just say, listen, we'll put our DBs one-on-one. We're going to spy your quarterback. And at the time, we're going to blitz you with another guy. I mean, it's not fair. The only way we moved the ball was by penalties. It was a rough game. So the division team, I hope you guys can move the ball a hell of a lot better than we did. And I hope you guys can march up and down on them whenever you guys play them. But man, it's He played him once, and it was in Oakland, right? So next time you guys are going to Denver.
To Denver, yeah. Yeah. You got to figure this week, Denver's defense has got to be like the highest owned probably because, I mean, they're playing the Colts, and the Colts looked awful early on last night.
Oh,
but
it's going to be, in my opinion, and I might get into this later, it's going to be between Denver and with Atlanta facing, my dad at quarterback from San Francisco. I mean, it's going to be an ugly game out there. But yeah.
Your dad may be playing for the Jets too, if you could tell Alex that.
Oh, for Alex's sake, I really hope that's not it. I hope
start looking for Chad.
Can do. Oh, dude, they're looking at, what was it, Matt Flynn? I heard rumors about too. I mean, boy, I don't know, but they got to do something.
Sure.
Just pray that Fitzmagic somehow, straps on a pair and deals with some pain and gets out there, because without him right now,
right,
man, that was an ugly game out in Oakland, my opinion. But I'm not doing Alex a solid. I'm kind of insulting without him here, so I'm sure he'll give it to me when he watches this back. And again, just to let everybody know, this is Chris, LBIRAIDER. Won the listener league. Alex and Pete are both predisposed. Alex had a hockey game. Pete had a chess match to dominate. So I am here, the sole host for now. Hopefully the two of them get on here at some point this evening, and we'll dive into some now. So Chris, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Pleasure talking to you.
Thanks a lot, man. And, appreciate it.
Please, good luck. Join this league, and again, this good luck. Hopefully you take it down again. Actually, no. Hopefully I take it down this week, because I've donated every week I've held it so far. But hopefully, again, nice win, and good luck with your matchups this week, man.
All right, guys. Thanks. Great show. Appreciate it, man.
I appreciate that. All right, guys. So like I said, I am here alone this week. I'll be trying to monitor the chat as I'm going through these picks here. We've got Alex and Pete on their way. Eventually they will hop in, hopefully, and save me from my misery, save you guys from having to listen to me, for the whole time. Alex even warned me that the show was going to suck. So hopefully it doesn't suck that bad. Say, Alex, oh, Mark's not that bad. So if you like it, again, click thumbs up, share the video, out on YouTube, so wherever you can, share the video, join the listener league. And with that, let's go on to week 9 picks. We've got quite a bit here. You're going to kind of a recurring theme with guys that are filling in on injury, as well as, the same old, seems like some guys just can't get some respect right now. And that's what I'm going to dive into our first quarterback pick with. We just touched on him with Chris, and that's Derek Carr. He's still sitting at 5,500 on DraftKings, 7,000 on FanDuel. He just threw for 4 touchdowns, 300 yards, and 4 touchdowns, totaling 32 DraftKings points against the Jets defense that was doing pretty well, pretty dominant prior to this week. They looked very otherwise. Now, this could have been the whole, Jets suck when they go to the West Coast type of thing, but I'm not willing to just throw that out there as the excuse. It pretty well. Completed 63% of his passes, so he wasn't doing too badly. He does like to throw the ball around. Pittsburgh, not great against a quarterback. Pretty much middle of the road against a quarterback. Let's see. We have some notes from Alex here. Carr is a quarterback with surprising efficiency and underrated weapons who can definitely succeed versus Pittsburgh. Very true. Again, getting into what we just touched on with Chris, Amari and Michael Crabtree, definitely underrated weapons. Cooper getting a lot of praise, looking at, an offensive rookie of the year, I should say, type of award. But Michael Crabtree kind of, resurrecting his career here in Oakland, which no one ever thought. I sure as hell didn't see it coming in the pretty impressive, though. Getting good routes, getting his hands on the ball. Carr distributing the ball as good as he can. Looking good out there against the Pittsburgh D. He should be able to exploit him a bit as long as he can stay upright. And at 5,500, again, on DraftKings, 7,000 on FanDuel. the same. Let me pull up his stats again, and I just want to look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive ever since week 1, where he only threw the ball 12 times for some reason. 6 consecutive weeks at 30 or more pass attempts. One of those was 46. That was against Baltimore. Now, you're throwing the ball 30 plus times, completing it 20 plus times every single week as well. He's gonna have a good amount of yards against Pittsburgh, and should be up at 2 or more TDs as well. I'm thinking he's safe for a cash game play, sitting down at 5,500, and seeing as how at 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 weeks he's hit cash for a $5,500 value. The only times he didn't was at Chicago, which was 2 road after road games in a row, and then at home against Denver, which again we just mentioned is the best defense in the league, hands down. So Pittsburgh, who's not car as a cash game play. Really quickly there, I do want to mention we had a question last week. I think someone just mentioned something here in the chat, as in cash versus GPP. So when we say cash lineup, that means a cash game as in like a 50-50 or head where you only have to beat the one person, or technically half of the entrants get, split the winnings. So essentially you're done through 1-for-1 winning. In a 50-50, you win, you have your winnings minus the rake. For GPP, when we're talking that, it's guaranteed prize pool, which is more tournaments, and that's where the top 10 to 20% will add in money, and usually they're very top heavy payouts. So top 10 will win a lot more than the rest of the field. So that's, say, cash versus GPP. I've mentioned it before. A cash lineup, you want to do a safer lineup, someone who's going to be guaranteed those touches, like we said in the Jonathan Stewart, who was 4,100 and going against a crappy defense, guaranteed to get a good amount of touches. Same thing with Darren McFadden, right? It was a tougher matchup, so maybe not a cash game play, but getting a high volume of touches, that he's at least going to give you some good. Whereas if you went with a Charles Sims, he's not always guaranteed touches. He comes in, he's guaranteed, but usually when he's in there, he'll get 6 to 8 carries and potential for 2 to 5 catches. He's more like a GPP play for me than a cash game play. Hopefully that helps you guys out a little bit in terms of being able to discern between the two. Our next quarterback is Blake Bortles, 5,400 on DraftKings, 7,600 on FanDuel. Blake the Snake, been, I'll say, up and down in my eyes. He's been incredibly consistent, really, when it comes to hitting value. But he's just, when I say up and down, I really mean like it's not flashy, right? He did, let's see, against my week 2, 273 yards, 273 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also ran the ball a couple times on scrambles, got you 20 points, right? Then the next value, but 17 points. Next week against Indy, hits value, but 19 points. Then he comes back with a 32-point game at team, goes for 4 touchdowns, 3-touchdown game against Houston where it gets you 28 points, followed up by a 2-touchdown game against Buffalo. This was, if I remember correctly, for only 14 points. Now he's got weapons out there now, right? He's got TJ Yeldon he can throw to out of the backfield. Julius Thomas healthy now. Robinson, Allen Hurns. He's got a lot of guys there. 5,400 on DraftKings. Going against the Jets, who are now at home, so traveling to New York, same time zone, so not a big difference, but the Jets at home are going to be a lot different than the Jets on the road. Was playing catch up, so you're hoping for garbage time here. For that reason alone, it's GPP for me. I don't like to roll a guy out game if I'm just counting on him playing catch up, because what could happen? The catch up could not occur at all, right? We could see Jacksonville actually end up leading the game, in which case maybe yelled in the ball more, taking the ball out of Bortles' hands, or they could be losing by so much that they just take Bortles out of the game. Anything can really happen. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, right? Because we saw Bortles throw the ball 53 times against Houston. So if they're trying to play catch up and it is competitive, Bortles is staying in the game. But if I'm chasing garbage time points, that immediately eliminates a guy from cash consideration for me here. Going up against that Jets defense, I think the pass rush is in the realm of Buffalo, and Carolina, and those are the two defenses to the lowest amount of points this year so far. So I'm going to actually avoid Blake Bortles, but again, 5,400 on DraftKings, 7,600 on FanDuel. Definitely a cheaper play this week, but not necessarily one that's going to provide you much value from our standpoint. Going down to Alex's notes, he is another DGAF quarterback through and through. If there is no Fitzmagic, and this is a great point by Alex, if there is no Fitzmagic, the Jets defense will be on the field more, and Cromartie and the cover linebackers can be exposed. So very good note by Alex there. Fitzmagic was one of the ones that got injured this weekend, had some ligament damage, I believe it was, or where he's in a lot of pain and potentially won't play this weekend. On top of that, Geno Smith hurt as well. He's got sore abs and or something like that. So depending on who's there at quarterback, we could see the Jets defense on the field more, which could allow Cromartie to give up something deep. But again, you're chasing something here. The matchup isn't nice, isn't fun for me. It's something where, again, just GPP, I'm not throwing Bortles out there in cash. Next man up is a guy we loved at the beginning of the season. We've been dying to get him back. He was out with an injury for a little while there for the past, I think 2 weeks. But this past week, he was actually out on bye. And that's Mr. Tyrod Taylor. 5,300 on DraftKings, 7,200 on FanDuel. Here's a guy who he ran the ball at the minimum 3 times in every game thus far this season. 3 was the lowest. 6, 8, and 9 are the other amounts that he's run the ball. Had no problem hitting cash value in any game this year. Going on Miami defense that just got torched by New England. Buffalo's playing at home. Now, granted, Buffalo's now going to be playing likely without Pervin, without Sammy Watkins. If they're playing without those guys, that definitely is a hit to Tyrod Taylor. But in my opinion, it's a hit to his passing. He's still going to be able to throw the ball to Charles Clay. Is that who it is? Why can't I remember the Charles Clay? Thank you. He's going to throw the ball to his tight end, who, if we remember a couple weeks ago against the Giants, that was the matchup to have, was a Taylor to Clay, or I guess the matchup to have in that game was a Taylor to Clay pairing. Incredible, I guess, chemistry between the two. I don't know if you want to call it that, but very good skill set. Clay clearly has hands. A second, excuse me, guys, sorry. A second revenge game, so to call it, for Clay, as Clay kind of got snubbed by the Dolphins in free agency, decided to come up to Buffalo. Tyrod did throw for 3 touchdowns against them last time they played. Again, I'm not expecting Tyrod to throw for 3 touchdowns again this week, but I wouldn't be surprised if he threw for 2 and if he ran for another 40 yards. So at 5,300 on DraftKings, 7,200. Well, I like him in cash. Again, his legs give him a great floor that you don't see in many other quarterbacks. Really, just kind of Cam. Love his legs there. Love the ability to get out there and finally be 100% healthy. Alex's notes include that he should be 100% healthy, and he's a QB1 with high upside, which is true. His running game, again, that's where his upside comes from. If he can find a guy deep, typically he can throw the ball up and the receiver go get it. So you're hoping for that, but again, 5,300. He's so cheap and his floor is so high. I'm fine with cash this week. Next guy up is Jay Chicken Cutlet Cutler. I say Chicken Cutlet because all of the notes that Alex typed up here has as Cutlet, which I'm not sure if that was intended or not, but I'll just read it off that way anyway. He's sitting at 5,200 on DraftKings still somehow, 7,100 on FanDuel. Cutler, ever since he came back from his hamstring, has been very, very good in my opinion. Hit value every week since then, right? So since week 3, let's see, weeks 4, 5, 6, 18, 18, 23. Week 8, 18 points. So he's hit cash value easily the last 1, 2, 3, 4 games. This one against Minnesota, he did require rushing touchdown in order to hit value. But hey, that's something that, again, Cutler can do with his legs. He's kind of deceptively quick. If he needs to get out there, he can do it. He often, but he can. Looking at a couple of games earlier this year against Green Bay, he ran 4 for 31, Arizona 3 for 24. So if he's getting the pocket, he's not afraid to go and take those yards, which is what you love to see out of a quarterback. His passing totals have been a bit lackluster. I think he's only surpassed 300 yards once all year, and even in that game, he only threw for 1 touchdown. But again, his price is so low that you haven't needed to throw for 300 yards and multiple touchdowns in order to hit value for a cash game. So going against San Diego, who may or may not be, I haven't looked at the notes yet, maybe without Eric Weddle again, their entire team is hurt at this point. Seems like everyone on that offensive line was going down, has been going down all season. Not that that's really going to affect Cutler, except for maybe slow. But when you're going up against the best quarterback, or I don't want to say the best quarterback in the league in Phillip Rivers, but right now his stats are up there, right? I think he leads the league in yards. He's top 5 in touchdowns, top 5 in almost all of the QB stats across the board. So that means San Diego's going to put up points, especially on Chicago's defense. Cutler going to have to play catch up a bit there. Without Matt Forte, Cutler's going to be slinging a lot more. I don't know if they should be able to rely on Langford for the run. We'll get into him a little bit later, but loving Cutler at 5,200 this week on draft and 7,100 on FanDuel. Again, I'm fine with him in cash this week as well. Another guy that I actually think Alex kind of dies a little inside when he's recommending this guy, and that's Jameis Winston. Jameis is sitting at 5,200 on DraftKings, 6,700 on FanDuel. I will, put an asterisk there saying not necessarily recommending Jameis here, but we have to make note because the Giants defense did just give up 7 passing touchdowns to Drew Brees. Now, in saying that, no, we're not comparing Drew Brees to Jameis Winston by any means. Their pass defense just is that bad. Now, I should say has been that bad. Now, there's word that they may get JPP back this week. There's word that Prince Amukamara could come back this week. If that's the case, I'm avoiding Jameis in every single way possible. On top of that, you still have no VJax. You still have no Lewis Murphy. ASJ, he's coming back or when he's going to come back. So for me overall, we're just mentioning him here just because he is 5,200 going up against the secondary. But overall, very, very, I don't want to say scary pick. If you're going with him in a GPP, it's going to be contrarian, I think, because here's a guy who hasn't hit 300 yards all year. His closest was 297, 287, and everything else is 2 or below. He hit value. Let's see. He hit cash value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. 5 weeks out of his 7. So I'm still not comfortable with it. He's throwing. Let's see. His completion percentage is under 60%. On the season, it's at 58. He's thrown 10 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. I mean, again, it's at Tampa Bay, and interestingly enough, he's thrown 5 touchdowns and 6 interceptions at home this year. Not something that necessarily be a trend. He threw 4 in one game, with Carolina in town. So obviously not something that you're gonna. I doubt you're gonna see the Giants intercept but he hasn't thrown an interception in 3 games, so maybe he's due for that. At the end of the day, 5,200 for Winston on DraftKings, 6,700 on FanDuel. I'm not high on him again, but GPP, I mean, not for me. If you want to do it, I mean, by all means, I understand the reason there, again, just because of what the Giants just gave up last week, but I can't justify dropping the money on him, especially Cutler is right there at the same price on DraftKings, or just $400 more, or even Tyrod's $500 more on FanDuel. I'd rather spend up on one of those guys, or pivot to one of those guys instead of wasting my money on Winston. Next up, we've got our running backs. Let's see, a man who helped Alex to some good money this week. A man who helped Chris win some money this weekend, and that is Mr. Darren Madden. He took on one of the toughest run Ds in the league, ran the ball 20 times for 64 yards. I know you're saying, okay, that's pretty crappy, but he caught 6 balls for 49 yards as well out of the backfield. Total just 17 points on DraftKings at a salary of $3,800 last week. I mean, he hit cash value. Kind of in the realm of GPP value, not in the realm of elite GPP value, but in terms of cashing, definitely in that realm. This is only up to 4,300 this week, taking on Philly, who's another tough run defense. But the Cowboys go of Joseph Randle. We understand that he's a head case, and once he found out that he lost the starting job, he left the. Probably not something you want to do if you want to keep a job in the NFL, is to just flat out leave the facility. Darren McFadden, though, he got 29 carries at the Giants 2 weeks ago, 20 carries this past week at Seattle. He is, I don't want to say the new DeMar, but it seems like they're going to use him as the man, as the running back. A lot of us thought that he would be used as once he was signed this year, right? Once he was signed, a few of us thought, okay, they're bringing in McFadden because he can run, he can catch, he's fast. And we thought that he would kind of take over that number 1 role. Obviously, that didn't happen at the beginning of the season. Seems like he's getting it now. Christine Michael, who knows what's going on with him? Alex thought he was destined to have a job, to do big things, and we're seeing him with only 5 carries each of the past 2 weeks. Not somebody that I want to invest money in on Christine Michael, but Darren McFadden at that price range, 4,300 on DraftKings, 6,500 on FanDuel. McFadden sitting pretty nicely down there. I'll definitely have some exposure to him in GPPs. $4,300. I mean, you can't, for a guy that's one of the big things was when their running back, I can't remember his name now. Wow, I'm just blanking all over the place tonight. Maybe it's just been a long day. Their third running back went out. I'm searching. Thank you. Man, I am bad tonight. I apologize, guys. Well, Lance Dunbar went out with his ACL injury. McFadden stepped right in, catching passes in the same way that he's stepping right in and taking those carries from Randall. So he's doing both, right? Again, 20 rushes this week, 6 catches. 9 rushes 2 weeks ago and 2 catches. Against New England, had 9 catches. So this guy's, again, doing it all. For that volume of touches at 43, I don't think you can go wrong. You're not expecting another 29 carries for 152 yards, especially against that Philly defense. But, another 25-point game is not out of the question here. I know that's a big range, but it's not out of the question. And at that price, I think it's something you got to hop all over. Alex's notes are that he's the unquestioned bell cow when he's healthy. Of course, you always have to, if you watched last week, you have to be careful of tissue issues. He had 49 carries and 10 targets over the last 2 games. So kind of reinforcing what I was just saying to you guys in terms of the stats. McFadden is the lead guy there now. and we need to take advantage of him at this low price before he has another blow-up game and his price skyrockets like some of the other guys. Going on to our next running back. He is another fill-in. Like I said, you're going to notice a kind of a recurring theme here. Another fill-in for one of the big guys that went down this week, and that's Jeremy Langford of the Bears, sitting at 4,000 on DraftKings, 6,400 on FanDuel. It's interesting that he's at 4,000 on DraftKings, considering all we've seen from him this season has been 27 carries for 80 yards. This past week was 12 carries for 46 yards after 4 down. He did not catch the only target that came his way. It seems like you're going to be hard pressed to get to be able to take advantage of the from DraftKings on Jeremy Langford, but going up against a Minnesota defense a San Diego defense. I apologize. Minnesota was their opponent this past week. Going up against a San Diego defense that has allowed 100 yards or more in 6 straight games this past week. That's something where you're going to want some sort of exposure to Jeremy Langford. If they can ball competently enough to get him 100 yards, that's 13 points from rushing yards alone, not including any sort of receptions or receiving yards or touchdowns for that matter, whether that be rushing or receiving. You're already hitting cash value. So for a guy that's going to be running the ball, likely I'm to see him at least 15 carries against the Chargers. At 4,000, I like it. He's cash game safe for $4,000. May not have that super higher upside, but if he's getting those goal line looks, they're still going to use Alshon a lot. They're still going to use, Bennett as well in the pass game. Cutler's going to get his, but I wouldn't count on, Langford isn't going to come in and have a Matt Asiata type day when he would fill in for AP and, go 20 carries for 60 yards, but 3 TDs, right? Langford could easily, though, hit 100 yards and a touchdown. Just rushing alone, you're not going to see a lot of passes caught from him, but with that type of for that price, I'm safe with him in a GPP. In a cash game this week. Next up is a guy that we seem to touch on pretty much every week. Charles Sims. His salary refuses to go over 3,600. He's sitting there 600 on DraftKings, 5,100 on FanDuel. Again, same thing week after week here. Hey, we've got our man, Pete the Greek. How are you, Pete?
Not so bad. So how's it going? I understand you were running solo for a bit there.
I've been running solo for almost a half hour. We had Chris come on earlier in the show, who won the Listener League. Congrats to Chris. He did very well. He did very great on the show as well. It was a lot of fun, to be honest with you. And I've been going through our picks. I'm up to Charles Sims, who's our second to last running back. If you'd like, at the end of this, we can go over some of the other picks if you want something to them. But for now, why don't you save the listeners from having to listen to me a little bit more and give me your thoughts on Charles Sims here. I was just getting into how his price refuses to go up, and I don't know if that's there's really anything that tells me that it needs to go up when I look at his stats, and he consistently gets 6 to 10 carries and 4 or 2 to 4 catches out of the backfield. He's not totaling more than 50, 60 yards. Tell me, Charles Sims, Giants come to town this weekend for the Bucs. Charles Sims, is he a cash game viable play for you this week, Pete?
Yeah, I mean, definitely not in my opinion, not a tournament play. I mean, I guess you could take a shot with him, but the problem with Sims is his limited upside. His price is low enough that you can get some value in a cash game, but his limited upside is just a big, huge stop sign to me. I know his price has stayed about the same, but what has he done really to increase it? Sims is not a name that I particularly want to use this week in either tourney or cash. I think even at that price, you can still find better. And not only can you find better at that price, but I don't know. I'm not a believer yet when it comes to Sims. I think is the best way to describe it. Although I have a hilarious Giants story, and they are playing the Giants this week, right?
Oh, yes, they are. Please tell.
Okay, so this is my Giants fan story that I texted you guys about. I was trying so hard to take a Snapchat of this guy, okay? This guy is wearing an Odell Beckham Jr. jersey at the bar. And every time something happens, and I'm talking like anything, okay? It could be like false start, right? It could be they stopped Mark Ingram for only 3 yards instead of 30. Okay, like anything even remotely like positive that could come out of it. This guy was screaming at the top of his lungs, just going insane. I mean, dude, I'm talking like picture the loudest, most obnoxious thing. And it wasn't like just for big plays. It wasn't just for like long TDs to Beckham, or it wasn't even for scores. It was like literally every second or third play, if something positive would happen. Like, okay, shorts, the incomplete pass. Breeze throws an incompletion, and this guy's losing his damn mind, okay? Losing his mind.
He didn't throw many.
Right, but I mean, like, I'm talking anything. Okay, completion for only 4 yards, right? Okay, this guy loses his mind. Yeah, woo! Clapping his hands as loud as he can, and just screaming his head off. And it's obnoxious. The waitresses and the bartender, they're all looking at each other. Everybody in the bar is just looking at each other like, is anybody going to say anything? And the game just keeps going.
Who says something to him?
Nobody says it, right? Because he's not exactly a larger fellow, but he also doesn't look like the type of fellow you want to say something to. And the fact that he's screaming his head off at like a 2-yard gain for the Saints, or conversely a 2-yard gain for the Giants, like, yeah, 2 more yards. Okay, like going nuts. And everybody's just looking around at each other like, is this guy serious? Now, the game is headed into overtime. And you can imagine what we're all thinking.
Oh, God.
Dear God, no. Just let it end. Let it just end, okay? Like the whole bar is just like kind of subdued, all right? And you know what happens, right? You know how the game ends, okay? So the Saints have this ridiculous, like they lose. I have to say, if I was a Giants fan, that would probably be the most painful way to lose. Because first you have this mysterious like forwards fumble, essentially. And then you get the additional 15 yards from a face mask, which wasn't originally called. So Zach Hawker kicks the field goal. It's going up. It's going up. It's going up. And right as it goes through, the whole bar erupts. Like everybody is screaming in this guy's face. We're like, yeah! Like people are coming over from other tables. There's like some Bengals and Steelers fans, and they're coming over and screaming at him. Nobody is a Saints fan. We're in the middle of Illinois. There's like 0 Saints fans, but everybody is screaming at this guy, and this guy is just shaking his head. It was the most beautiful moment of poetic justice. It was seriously the most beautiful moment of poetic justice I've ever personally been a part of. Because this was, I mean, dude, you can sort of imagine a guy being this obnoxious. It would blow away your imagination how bad he actually was. And then to have literally the whole bar erupt, not a single Saints fan in there, but just that the Giants lost and no overtime. And everybody just lost their mind. He paid his check and walked out and didn't say anything. It was perfect. Anyway, that's my Giants fan story.
You said Saints fans aren't there, but Giants fan doing there either.
Yeah, I mean, he had an OBJ jersey on and was going nuts. I don't know what he was doing there. Get out of my bar. It's a Bears bar. What are you doing? And the Bears lost, so I was really happy.
What are you doing there?
Yeah.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Just keep offing for golfing.
Right. Well, so I see Greg Streaker here saying, thanks for rubbing salt in my wounds. But just so you know, Greg, you have that Giants fan to thank for that loss. Like, I know that was like instant karma retribution. Okay. So like that guy, he had it coming. So if you got a bone to pick, you come and find him and you tell him, hey, chill out, dude, because it's not good. It's bad football karma.
He's the karma bitch. He is a bitch. There was one other question that I need to ask real quickly. And that's from Jakester. Okay. And that's what kind of gel do you use in your?
Honestly, I don't know. It's whatever they give me at the salon. So. Sorry. I wish I could tell you.
You get your hair professionally the show?
Well, I got it cut today because gotta look suave and all that stuff.
So what about last week? Because he said you were looking English last week.
Oh, yeah, I don't know, none last week, to be honest. So there you go.
Wow.
I do have very
Jake,
so.
there you go.
Since our listeners are so
rubbing
concerned,
I
do have very naturally
Jake's wounds now.
I do have naturally thick hair, and I think that's why sometimes it doesn't you can just go like that, and it kind of looks like I did something. And see, look, it's sticking up, right? But I didn't do anything. So thanks for your concern, listeners. There you go. Hey, I got milk.
Yeah, I mean, no, you got your milk.
Yep.
2%.
No, skim.
All right. Ooh, skim this time. Nice. I like skim. It's none of the fat. I'm a fan. All right. So let's get away from the Giants. And we're going to go to our last running back, and that's Mr. Spiller, sitting at 3,100 on DraftKings, 5,500 on FanDuel. He caught a late touchdown this past week. Is one of his only two catches, 15 yards, the one touchdown. 4 rushes for 21 yards. I mean, even at this point, I'm sitting at Spiller and looking at him as a cash game only play. GPP only play. Definitely no cash. Titans come on. We know the Saints play better at home than on the road, but Titans a much better defense than the Giants. Are you looking at him at all this week? Because I'm going to avoid Spiller just like I pretty much do every week.
Yeah, me too. Alex, you just missed my Giants fan story. You just missed
really?
It. Yeah. And also tonight the listeners are really concerned with our hair, so they're going to definitely make a comment about you shaving, I bet. But yeah. You just missed it, like 30 seconds.
Alex is back.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Look at you. I wish
Dude,
I could shave.
basically,
I had some baby face
listen,
for your entry music.
First of all, fuck off. Second of all, I've basically sprinted since 9:30. I was in Brooklyn. I took the subway to Manhattan, jumped in the car with my friend, drove to my friend to get my car at his house, drove home, and I walked in the door 30 seconds ago.
Look at that dedication, folks.
That sounds like what I did. So I had my match went like way overtime. So I didn't finish.
I saw the tech. See, all right, I didn't have service at Barclays, so I didn't get anything until I was in the car home.
Yeah.
Yes. In that first match.
What's that?
Didn't you wipe the floor with him in the first match, it looked like?
I played pretty well. The first match I won pretty easily. The second one, there were some technical difficulties. I was like totally crushing. I was winning easily, and then there were some technical difficulties, and so they're like, yeah, we're just going to restart the game. So I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Like I had an easy win, and now I got to do it all over again? And so they restarted the game, and I played actually pretty badly because I was trying to get out of there quickly, so I was playing fast so I could come do the show. And then I got a bad position, but then I won anyway because that's how chess can be sometimes.
You're a pro.
Look at you. Who don't know, Pete will kick your ass in chess. So good luck to anyone trying to take him on. But the story I think for later what?
Can I tell my lineup story this week?
Yeah, but why don't we talk about some players since off topic for a little while, and then we'll come back to your story.
CJ Spiller, I dropped.
When I have a story to tell, it's off topic, but when everybody else does, then we can just go off topic.
When what Pete said was still off topic, but we were just on the Giants for like 10 minutes. So let's let you talk, and Alex, let's go to your boy CJ. I just said that I'm off him completely. CJ Spiller, 3,100 DraftKings, 5,500. Talk to me.
Tournament only because Kyrie's out. He should get a lot more touches, and I think that at that price, his upside is tremendous.
So you think they split Kyrie's carries between CJ and Ingram?
I wouldn't call them carries. I would call them touches. Ingram doesn't really catch the ball.
Many passing?
So, what?
Did Kyrie really get looks in the passing game? Yeah, I guess so. 2 a game.
I mean, it's touches, Like, Spiller's finally getting the playbook. Now he's going to have more opportunity. If he does well this week, he's going to open himself up to a lot more, in my opinion.
All right, let's. That was the last running back for the night. Let's move on to wide receivers. Uh, Let's skip down to the Chargers. An ongoing theme is mentioning to the listeners is those people stepping in for the injured folks.
Wait, how far did you just skip?
I skipped over
A
your
wise
first,
skip.
yes.
I like the skip. I like
Okay, that's
skipped over
fine.
your first two guys because their prices are a little higher than we normally look at.
Fair enough.
So I'm
We
going.
both like Crabtree and Snead. There you go, listeners. Analysis done.
Yes. There you go.
Touche.
Um,
Touche.
I skipped to Malcolm Floyd and Stevie Johnson, 3,900 on 6,100 on FanDuel for Malcolm Floyd, 32 and 5,400 for Stevie Johnson. Both looking to take on a little of a role, I guess, a presence with Keenan Allen being out now for the rest of the season. Oliver out now as well. Not something that will really affect Floyd or Johnson, but talk to me, Alex. If you pick one is it and why?
If Ladarius and Gates weren't banged up, I would go with Malcolm because once Keenan left the game, Malcolm kind of became Rivers' guy. Like for big plays, he looked to Malcolm. But with those two banged up and we don't really know what you're getting from them, I would probably go with Stevie Johnson just because Keenan takes underneath, Gates and Ladarius take underneath and middle. Like those are his guys. Stevie is the best route runner of all of them. So I think he dominates that short to intermediate range and has a great PPR day. I think Malcolm Floyd has a better chance at a long touchdown, but Stevie can make touchdowns at anything. We saw that early in the year.
Pete, you agree on Stevie?
I think Steve is a fantastic play, and I don't disagree with anything Alex said. But Philip Rivers likes his tall receivers. Malcolm Floyd is the taller receiver. I think he gets he's got to have a tall receiver to throw to. I don't know why, but if you look at Philip Rivers' history, a couple years ago, it was that one guy who got his knee hurt in a million times. I forgot his name.
Oh, I loved him. Was it Malcolm Brown?
No. It was God, what was that guy's name? Anyway, there's just been a tradition, a history of Rivers turning a tall receiver into a valuable fantasy commodity, and I think that continues with Malcolm Floyd. So,
wait, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, what is that guy's name? It started with a D, maybe?
I owned him everywhere
Me
that
too,
year.
yeah. And he had a huge year, and it's just that's what's going to happen. He's going to throw, Keenan Allen was that guy this year. Now it's going to be Floyd, in my opinion. So, I mean, look, I like them both. I think Stevie Johnson is great. I think he's a great play. I think he's a great add in regular fantasy. But if I'm only picking one, I'm picking Floyd because upside, and I honestly believe Floyd's been massively inconsistent, very sketchy. But now with no Keenan Allen, I think his floor is pretty good too. So if I'm picking one, it's Floyd, but I like both.
Very sketchy. I like it.
Denario Alexander.
Thank you. Yes, see? Just that 6'5" guy, comes out of nowhere, has a huge year with Philip Rivers throwing to him because he was the only damn tall receiver on that.
He had 3 huge games, and then he blew out his knee, and then everybody's like, oh, he's coming back, and then he came back.
Never came back.
No, he came back.
Never came back good.
Again, that first game back, then he went to St. Louis and couldn't do anything.
Right. So that's what I think. I think Floyd is the rest of season Denario Alexander. That's my opinion. And I think he'll be productive.
You have to hope he's healthy and he relies a little bit more on big plays than Stevie would. I would call Stevie the safer. Malcolm has more upside.
I totally agree with that.
All right. Let's go to the next receiver, and that is Mr. Robert Woods. 3,500 on DraftKings, 4,900 on Miami coming up to Buffalo this Sunday. Woods just caught 9 for 84 and a touchdown against Jacksonville 2 weeks ago in London. If we see, I'm pretty sure we're going to see Harvin out, right? We haven't officially seen him put on IR or retire. There's all these rumors out there that that's going to happen. Watkins, we don't know what's up with his status, so we're assuming he's out as well. If Watkins and Harvin are definitely out, Pete, is Robert Woods a cash game play for you then at 3,500 against that Miami defense, or you think?
I mean, he certainly seems to be, doesn't he? At that price with that sort of potential. And look, we saw it last week in London when nobody was there, he had what, like 8 for 90 and a touchdown or something crazy like that. So yeah, I mean, I think Woods is a good play. I think Charles Clay is probably another good play, especially now that Tyrod is back. Clay seems to be, they seem to have a connection. So yes, I like Robert Woods this week.
Would you Woods in a cash game? You would?
I think so.
I'm not even trying to do a pun there, so I apologize.
So I mean, look, 3,500. If we do the quick math, that means he's got to score 10.5. So he's got to catch 4 passes for 65 yards. What were his targets last week? I don't have them in front of me, but they were something crazy, weren't they? I'm looking that up. So Woods last week with literally nobody else to throw to, Woods' numbers were insane. So let's take a look. 9 for 84 and a touchdown, so I was close at 9 for 90.
14 targets or 12, by the way?
I'm checking 13 targets. So, I mean, look, even if there's a slight dip in targets and catches, his possibility of hitting value is extremely high.
Okay. Even if I don't know how he's going to line up, but I'm assuming at some point in the game he's going to face Brent Grimes. That doesn't scare you off him?
No, not really. I mean, Grimes is good, but actually he's taken a step back this year. He hasn't been as efficient. And not only that, but again, look, who else are they going to throw to? We see this actually. Who's an interesting. Sorry to interrupt. There's a guy who's an interesting comp, which is Brandon Cooks, who gets a boatload of targets. Now Cooks does not make a good play because his price tag is so high. But if you're going to get all the targets, even if you don't have a great week, you don't have to when your cost is only 3,500 in a cash game, right? Like to hit value, even if Grimes is on you the whole game and you still, you're limited in the number of catches you have, you don't have to do much to hit value. That's the point.
My play is going to be Clay if I have to choose over those two, and we'll talk about him in a little bit. But that's interesting. You make a good point that Grimes hasn't been the past couple years. He seems to have taken a step back, and the anticipated volume for someone at $3,500 is quite a bit. As is this next guy, and that's Brendan LaFell, Alex, 3,200 on DraftKings, 5,200 on FanDuel. I mean, we saw him his first week back against your Jets in passes or so. Against Miami, he caught 4 for 47. Against the Washington second, hasn't been able to stop anybody this year. If we see that D'Angelo Hall, Chris Culliver are still out, LaFell's kind of a shoot 200, right?
I just kind of like LaFell just because he's been integrated into this offense and he's so cheap. Because he had 7 targets last week. I don't know exactly what he had against the Jets. Sorry, I'm a little behind on everything. But the target numbers are there. Brady wants to throw to him. He needs a deep threat. We talked about this all season last year. Gronk, Edelman, Amendola, everyone that they have, short to intermediate. LaFell is the guy that can go deep and do the intermediate. He's the X receiver. He's the guy that you want to throw to outside and beat outside corners. So Brady wants to get him involved. Once he kind of gets in the rhythm again and stops dropping footballs because he looked terrible the first week he was back. The target numbers plus Brady throwing him the ball are going to equal great numbers. He's almost a must-play this week, I think.
And again, if those two guys are out and it's such a leaky secondary, you're looking at a LaFell deep TD. I mean, if those two guys are out, I think LaFell's in lineups for me this weekend. I'm all about him for that price and the matchup and the opportunity. I mean, it's all there for him.
Yeah,
we saw it last year, right? We saw it last year. Sorry, people. We saw him come through last year quite a bit and actually be a pretty nice target for Brady and is running underneath. So, I mean, it's just a matter of time before that connection comes back. So, go ahead, Pete. What were you saying?
No, I was just going to say I couldn't agree more. There's a couple of other things to consider. The Brady's, the Patriots' game plan for opponents, and how do you beat Washington? You throw all over them. So he's clearly going to be involved in the throw all over them part. Not only that, but his snaps Targets and catches have increased from week to week as he's working his way back in. He was in on, I believe, if I remember correctly, over 80% of snaps last week for the Patriots. Anybody who's on the field with Brady 80% of the time you want to play. And if it's somebody who's being targeted, you want to play them. And if they're playing the Redskins with no cornerbacks, you want to play them. So like there's no like it's a stacking argument. It just gets better and better. So I think LaFell is a great play this week. This is the week that use LaFell. He's cheap and there you go.
Another one where you're going to see him. I think he's going to get in the end zone. You're going to see his price jump, and you're not going to be able to get the same type of value out of him necessarily that you will this week. This week is like I think 3x is 1 quarter's worth of work for him this week. I think 5x is something that is easily achievable for him in a full game as well.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Our last receiver here, and I'm going to throw this at Alex because I know it's Alex's boy. He's been dying to talk more about this guy
all right,
here.
All right, say his name, and he's not my boy, but I have a reason.
He's your boy. You kind of had a man crush on him. You've been dying for him to get in there.
Just go, and I'll defend myself.
It's Dorial Green, 100 on DraftKings, 4,900 on FanDuel. It's not Julio, right? It's not like you got the Julio boner for him.
It's not even like Parker or White or Cooper.
We've been wanting to see him out there, and we haven't seen him yet. Now he's finally, I think, going to get a chance. He's, again, very cheap, playing at New Orleans, who just gave up 6 touchdowns. Still right banged up, likely going to miss this week. Justin Hunter, I don't know if he's banged up or just Justin Hunter, but you're going to see if there's a week. Oh, Harry Douglas, sorry, he's probably out too. If there's a week for Dorial Green Beckham to finally make a breakout, it would be with the new, I'm not going to say new regime because I think they just let go of Wisenhunt, right? Not a lot of people, just him. But new play caller. It's going to be this week, right, Alex?
Yeah, you pretty much stole most of what I wanted to say. It's not really matchup or who's hurt dependent. I just think that with the new regime and, well, it is partially who's hurt. Kendall Wright, I think, came out and said his knee is in real bad shape. Yeah, real bad shape. And if they decide to rest him or if he's not 100%, and even if he says, like, hey, I'm good to go, and he pulls a John Brown like last week where he played 0 snaps but was active and just fooled everyone, you have to he's the only guy that they can go to. It's going to be him and Delaney Walker if Kendall Wright isn't there and ready to go. And even with that, just we saw last year with Mike Evans. Mike Evans was doing okay until it wasn't a regime change, but it was a philosophy change on who was going to be the more targeted receiver. And I think with a new play caller, DGB, they're going to have to use his skill set. He's very raw, but he's very athletic. They'll obviously keep using him in the red zone. He has a couple touchdowns still. And I think he just gets more involved and gets more snaps under somebody else.
All right. With that, we'll move on to...
It's not cash. It's it's a complete tournament.
Fully tournament, right. Sorry, good clarification there. Definitely tournament play. I'll ask you real quick, Alex. LaFell in cash for you this week?
I would put LaFell in cash. I have somebody cheaper in the tight ends that I'm definitely playing in cash, so we'll see what happens with that, though.
All right, we'll get to that. I had to ask it. I know Pete and I chimed in. I wanted you to chime in there as well. So we'll move to ends now, and we're going to go to our first one, who I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm not going to call him a value play per se, because he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's the 8th most expensive tight end, but he's sitting at almost half the price of the most expensive tight end. So you could say value. You could make the argument. But that's Charles Clay. Again, Miami going to Buffalo this week. Clay sitting at 4,200 on 5,700 on FanDuel. Since Pete talked about Woods, I'll throw this one back at you, Alex. What makes you? I know Tyrod's back. When I spoke about Tyrod, I mentioned that I like Clay and their hookup a couple weeks ago against the Giants. Clay's day was 9 for 111 that week. Sitting at this price, is he cash viable for you this week?
If Sammy Watkins doesn't play, because
if Watkins is out, you think
the same thing with Woods. If Watkins doesn't play, the ball has to go somewhere. Harvin's not in the lineup. You basically have Clay and Woods, and they're both great plays at their prices because without Watkins. The targets have to go somewhere. And Clay also had a great game against Miami. His first round of the revenge game. Now they're at home. So I think that given the opportunity, he's going to succeed as well. I would rather play Woods because he's cheaper, and I have another person that I would rather play at tight end. But at the same time, he's going to get his targets. He's a red zone monster, and no Sammy, definitely a good play.
Okay. I'll throw this tight end then at you, Pete, and that's a guy who 2 of the last 3 weeks he's going for 30 plus in DraftKings. Kind of, in my opinion, nowhere the past 3 weeks, just blown up with Atlanta and the Giants coming to New Orleans, and that's Ben Watson, sitting at 4K on 5,700 on FanDuel, 9 for 147 and a touchdown against the Giants this past week, who lacked John Beason in their linebacking core. Once he was out, Benjamin Watson kind of came. I mean, I was listening to Anita Marks this past week, and she basically said if Beason doesn't play, Watson should go in almost every lineup. Now, I didn't heed that advice. I'm a jackass, but hopefully you did, and I'm thinking this week might be a little bit different, but against Tennessee coming into town, what do you think? Give me some thoughts on Benjamin Watson this week.
Yeah, I mean, they figured something out, and probably what they figured out the most was that Drew Brees is healthy. So I think Watson is, again, a good play. You know, I think one thing we learned last week is, hey, the Giants can't defend anybody. But I think Watson remains a good play at 4,000. I think he remains a viable cash play. I'm curious to hear what Alex thinks about that. You know, to hit value, he's got to get 12 points. That's not a lot, especially if he's finding the end zone. So I think Watson remains a viable cash play. I think he should be used. You know, even in GPP, I'd use him.
Yeah, I love his target numbers.
Right.
He's just been outstanding, and the way that they're using him early in the season, they were just kind of just quick little dump offs. They're using him to stretch the field now. They're using him and I'm not going to say it exactly or it compares to, but they're using him in a Jimmy Smith type role. Like he had 10 targets last week. They're using him down the seam and over the middle of the field, further down the field than just like a dump off pass. So
A Jimmy Graham type role.
Type role. Type, not
No,
role.
You said Jimmy Smith. Yeah.
No, I didn't. Did I?
Yeah, you did.
You did.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I was looking at. Probably saw the
Just
names.
wanted to make sure we were.
He was really busy checking out the 1994 Dallas Mavericks starting lineup, and he was like, Jimmy Smith.
Got to do that research for NBA.
I
Right.
could have very easily just looked at the current Ravens, Jimmy Smith. You didn't have to make a 94 reference on that.
Clearly, the 94 Mavericks is what you were really looking at, though. Be honest.
You are correct.
Don't even try to see.
I was just hiding the fact that I was looking at 94 Mavericks rosters. While
I think that was also when Rolando Blackman still played. He was awesome. Guy could fill it up, dude.
Have you guys touched yet this year or what?
What?
Have you entered any NBA lineups or what?
Not yet. I usually wait until December to play NBA. I mean, I follow the tournaments. I follow the lineups. I follow who's doing well, but I don't play until December. A couple of reasons. First of all, by then you have a good idea what to expect from the teams, you know? And there's an argument that early on you have an advantage because you can beat the bots because they don't have enough consistency yet, but I also don't feel comfortable preparing my lineups until later in the season. And also I'm doing football, so I don't play NBA till December.
Well then. I've just been donating more money, so it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait.
Play some Nico.
I should probably advice and not play either, but it's not going to stop me. I'm going to keep doing it.
Can I just say also right now, Nico Mirotic is my favorite player in the NBA. He is awesome. He is just amazing. Nico 1, Draymond Green 2. You play those guys every week in NBA DFS, you're in good shape.
So I was going to say Nico because the Greek connection.
He's actually Serbian.
Is he?
I just like the way he plays, man. Well, he's from Spain, I think, or he plays in the Spanish league, but I think he's Serbian or Croatian. I can't remember. But dude, I just like his game. Like he's got these crafty moves. He can score inside and out. He's a baller. That's why I like him, and that's why I like Draymond Green. They're just ballers. They can do it all. They
And
can
he's
play any
part of it.
position on the court. They can score from inside. They can score from outside. They're just legit, man. Those are my two favorite NBA players. You know what I want to see? I want to see a Draymond Green versus Niko Mirotic 1v1. That'd be awesome. All right, anyway.
Interesting. Who? Because I'm thinking Mirotic might be able to take it to him.
Yeah, I mean he's got the length, but Draymond's got that he's got that muscle, and I don't know. It'd be
got that
close.
fire.
I think what I think would happen is if they weren't playing win by 2, whoever got the ball first would win.
Now
And if they were playing win by 2, then the game would just never end.
Now is Draymond sober when he's playing?
Presumably, otherwise Mirotic crushes him.
If you keep saying Draymond's name, I'm gonna cry.
Why?
Do you? All right, you guys probably don't know, but do you remember a couple of years ago? I think I was my freshman year. Maryland was in the tournament, and we were, I think, a 9.
And
No, we were like
Michigan
7.
State comes along.
And we played Michigan State in the second round. We were down by 10 with 2 minutes left. Came back, tied the game, event with like 30 seconds left. Took the lead. Draymond Green makes a bad pass that goes through his other guy's hand. Somebody on Michigan State picks up the ball, throws up a prayer 3, knocks it down, lose by 1.
See, that is the magic of Draymond, right
and
there.
that was the year they went to the Final Four because Northern Illinois knocked off Kansas.
Izzo.
So
Tom
we would have went to the Natty Championship that year if we had won that game. So I hate
That's why
Draymond.
we love.
Never forget it. Never.
Why we love college basketball.
We should totally finish because I gotta go eat. I'm starving.
Okay. Yeah. Keep down on those Teddy Grams, but.
Dude,
let's
I'm
keep
out. I
moving.
ran out. It's empty.
No.
I'm so hungry. I like ran
I
here.
know.
All right,
I didn't eat either because I had the the chess match going on.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yours was more important, but.
Thanks.
And Jenkins. Let's move on to our next. Austin Safarian Jenkins, 2,800 on DraftKings, 5,200 on FanDuel. Hopefully coming back.
If he plays, you
Active
play
the
him,
past-
right?
Yeah, we've talked. I think we've talked enough about ASJ. If he plays, you play him because Jameis needs him.
Yes.
That offense was like I know they won, but that offense looked awful last week.
It did. It did look pretty bad, but I mean, somehow scoring points and getting in field goal range enough to get it done. But I agree. If he's healthy, you play him. Especially, I'm going to take Anita Moore advice this week. If there's no John Beason, I'm playing a lot of ASJ.
Even with Beeson.
I mean, it's
Yeah, last I checked, Beeson was not a 6'6" athletic freak of nature. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
the only this is
yeah, but
the only thing that Beeson affects is how far he goes on each catch. If he keeps stopping him, he'll just keep going to him instead, and he'll get more points catching the ball.
right. More catches. There you go.
he's got 12 catches for 34 yards.
Yeah, sure. Not 34 yard, but it'll be like our next player's stat line where it would be like a 7 for 78 instead of like a 4 for 78.
And that here is Mr. Heath Miller coming in at 2,700 on DraftKings, 5,800 on FanDuel. He went 10 for 105 against Cincinnati. With Le'Veon down in week 1 anyway, he went 8 for 84. I'm wondering, Alex, is that why you love so much?
Yeah. No Le'Veon, Big Ben. I'm pretty sure he's jerking off Heath Miller right now.
I don't think that's how it
Wow,
works.
that's intense.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Red Rocket.
wouldn't be. Yeah, exactly. He's red rocketing Heath Miller right now. He needs this guy to make space. Otherwise, this offense is going to just implode. Whenever Le'Veon's there, he needs his check down. The 3 games that Heath Miller had without Le'Veon, he's been outstanding. And I mean, I think he only has 1 touchdown in those 3 games, but he's had very nice PPR days. And I think for the rest of the season, he could be a mid-range tight end 1. And it starts this week.
For that price, again,
Correct.
not going to need much, right? If he's getting good targets, I mean, it's there. His again 2,000 on DraftKings, $5,800 on FanDuel, so a bit more expensive on FanDuel. Probably, I think, out of my range at that, especially if ASJ plays, but definitely in play on DraftKings, where he's significantly cheaper. And I've noticed, Alex, he didn't score a touchdown. It doesn't seem like his price went up too much. It does really seem like the
dude,
guys
it's
that
the
score
touchdown thing.
They get their salary increases.
It's the touchdown thing, and when running backs get the #1 job off of an injury, like D'Angelo Williams jumped to 55.
I mentioned that with Jeremy Langford, and yes, you're absolutely right with D'Angelo. His price skyrocketed to $5,500 this week, taking him out of consideration for us on this show.
Right.
But it's incredible to see the price jump that high from someone going 2 to 1. It's interesting, but we digress. Let's go on to defense so we can get these guys out of here, and so Alex can tell us about his big win this weekend. Saints 2,200 on DraftKings, 4,200 FanDuel. I'm going to go all the way down. They're third from the bottom on DraftKings in terms of pricing. They just gave up 49 points, load of yards, to a Giants offense that included OBJ. Let's be honest there. They take on a Tennessee offense coming into the Dome. Obviously, that's why, and they're giving up, it looks like, according to DraftKings, the most points to opposing defenses. If Mariota plays out, that change your mind on the Saints defense at all?
No, because it's not a cash play. It's a tournament play going up against the team that gives up the most points to defenses, and that's pretty much what it is. Mariota or Mettenberger, team scored defensive touchdowns on this team. They sack the quarterback. It's for the price. Like, if New Orleans puts up 10 points, which isn't really that ridiculous of a concept for them playing Tennessee, that's almost 5x value. So that's the entire reason why you could play the Saints in a tournament. Other than that, they weren't cheap, but like Pete says, roll with the Broncos.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Play the Broncos again, play them next week, play them till the end of the year. If they can do it against the Packers, they'll do it against anybody. And
they're 3,000. They were up to 37 and played the Packers, so their price just got depressed. Play them until they're back until they're 4,000.
And even then, they're that good, dude. Even then, they're that. And especially this week against Indianapolis. What's the over/under on sacks this week? You think? I think it's going to be disgusting.
87.
They're faster. They're a faster defense than the Panthers, and the Panthers still took luck down a few times. I mean, this is going to be nasty.
Dude, they really are an unbelievable defense. I watched, firsthand. Obviously, I watched the Sunday night game very, very closely. And that was the first I'd watched their defense very closely all year, and they were just
all over the place.
Unbelievably
I didn't watch it at all.
It just wasn't fun to watch because they were just all over Aaron Rodgers and all over every single receiver. Our play calling did suck. We ran too many long routes, too many long developing routes. It just wasn't great play calling. So I think people will be able to do a lot better against them than we did. But I can see every that Pete has said about them all year, absolutely true, and it showed on Sunday night. Now, I'll get away from my crying issue to wipe my tears, and while I do that, Alex, why don't you tell us about your is it about your Monday night sweat?
Oh my God, that was the worst sweat ever, and it didn't work. All right, so I finished in the $3 play action. I wound up finishing 213. If they had given Jonathan Stewart the ball a little bit more, I would have gone from $200 to close to probably $1,000 if Jonathan Stewart was given the ball at the end of the game. Just I needed him over 100. If he got over 100, it went from 200 to 400 immediately. So that was a very, very long sweat because with the overtime and them coming back and thinking people were going to overtake me, nobody overtook me. That was one of the best Monday night sweats I've ever had because I went from $40 to $200 on Monday,
awesome.
And Jonathan Stewart didn't even do that well. So
it just goes to show you what those Monday night games can do to you when
everyone
else around you is finished.
But my lineup was filthy, and the two guys that I had not in the 1 p.m. games were the guys that didn't do as well. I had obviously Eli crushed. My 2 running backs were McFadden and Stewart, who combined for about, 25, no, 35-ish, maybe 30, something like that. Not too much.
They still hit your value.
But then I had Nuke, I had Odell, I had Diggs, I had Alshon, I had Watson, and I had the Rams. So I dropped
That's almost identical to my lineup, except I had Doug Martin, who killed me, and Ladarius Green, who killed me. Like, I had that almost exact same lineup that you just said, literally.
Well,
except
we
for
talked
those two
about our
positions.
lineups. I put that one in on Thursday when I was kind of on the Watson train, and then I jumped off for some stupid reason.
I played 2 Eli stacks and 0 Breeze stacks. That was a huge mistake not playing any Breeze stacks. But I played 2 Eli stacks. They both cashed, but if I would have avoided Doug Martin in both of them, I would have hit huge, which is
Well, yeah, my two Eli stacks, my one hit 40, this one hit 200, and my Breeze stack hit 40 also because I had him I had a Breeze Cooks Spiller lineup, and the Spiller touchdown put me over an extra $20. It was great.
That's awesome. You guys let me go back and take a look at Chris's lineup, LBIRAIDER. He won our listener league. He came on the show with me earlier. An Eli OBJ stack as well. Went through. He had Ladarius at tight end. He kind of had a similar sweat to you, Alex, where I guess the guy that ended up finishing had Gore, and Chris had Stewart. So it was kind of going back and forth all night. So it was pretty cool.
I'm sorry I wasn't paying attention. I was busy freaking out.
Congrats again to Chris. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on. Way to win. Take down my money, my donation for. Again, this week's league is already in the description. Go ahead and.
How many again? Are we doing 100?
Thing again. Doing 100. We filled it on Sunday morning. Hopefully we can fill it a little bit earlier this time, but let's go.
For the future, I just want people to comment if they like this idea. Could we make it the top 10 get paid instead of the top 5?
I don't know if I can do that, but I'll take a look. I'll definitely take a look, but we're going to get Pete out of here so he can go eat before he eats his dog. And
I mean, it's getting to that point. I'm hungry.
Just want to thank you guys again for watching. We appreciate all the support. If you have any questions, reach out to us on Twitter. You again, click the thumbs up, share the link, join the listener league. Let's have some fun with it again. Always a lot of fun. Chris was great earlier. It was awesome talking to him and get in his head, ask why he chose the people he did. I will say though, Alex, really quickly before we leave, he was a Raiders fan and he did want shit. So just want to throw it out there. But
all right, listen. We lost Fitz on the first drive. I don't have an excuse other than that. That's it. We got the bed. No Fitz. Gino's terrible. Get him off my team. But it's so bad. Even though Gino is so bad, they're still refusing to sign Ryan Mallett, which I respect because he's just an idiot.
He's just as bad, but
he's worse with a better arm.
All right, let's get out of here. We'll go get some food. Pete, don't eat your dog, please. We don't want Peter to come after you. But thank you guys very much for joining. Everybody in the chat, thank you for watching. Questions, he's at Alex Hanowitz, at P. Karaganis. He'll kick your ass in chess. Just want to let you guys know again. I'm in Milano. Thanks, and we'll catch you guys Thursday. Peace.